Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, I want to present you one of the oldest cats of War Thunder, the Panther D. And recently, its battle rating has been dropped from 5.7 to 5.3. Now, per se, I think that the tank would have been kind of fine at its battle rating, but the battle rating reduction was kind of overdue with the experience and the lack of performance that it has to the other Panthers that are still at 5.7. Especially the Panther A. Now, here is the thing. The tank has good frontal armor. The tank has a decent, some say amazing gun. And, the only thing that really holds it back is the handling, both of the turret traverse and the mobility. So, we'll get into this just in a moment. But I have to say, I'm also playing, finally, on a big wide open map, Sands of Sinai. And the victory that I'll achieve here today, spoiler, will be really worked hard for. Because, some of those scenes will be a bit boring. But I think that in some cases, my spider senses were really right. And I was at the right place at the right time. And I could surprise the enemy in this thing. Now, I always was of the opinion that the Panther D is more like a real heavy tank, whereas then the Tiger H1 is more like a medium tank. Both were formerly at 5.7 and both are now at 5.3. And I think, there is a decent lineup for it. There is also the kind of weird Tiger, the furry Tiger, if you call it, the VK4501P, they all share 5.3, and you have some lower battle rating and equal battle rating tank destroyers. The Panther 470V, now with the Osketten, which look amazing. The Nashorn with the long 88. This is a decent lineup when it comes to the firepower, but all those tanks have one thing in common. They're not really flexible, they're not really outstandingly mobile. And to get the guns on target, that's very often the issue, especially in close quarters fights. This tank gets absolutely ruined by a turret traverse of 6 degrees per second. That is tank destroyer level of gun traverse, turret traverse. That is god awful, if you ask me. Now, the gun itself is fine. And, there is no doubt about this, that I think that this Jumbo Sherman is kind of a good demonstration that this is an awesome gun, but it's not a lol pen gun. Other tanks at this battle rating have APDS. Look at the Swedish or the British tanks, or some of them. But, this is by no means a bad gun. How can the 75mm Kampfwagenkanone 42 KWK-42 be bad? You have 79 rounds of ammunition, and the muzzle velocity and everything is really amazing as well. 7.4 seconds reload is kind of decent for this battle rating, and you have the Panzergranate 3942 APCVC round, 935 meters per second muzzle velocity, 30 grams of bursting charge, and nearly 200 millimeters of penetration, 192 at point blank range, and at 1000 meters still 156. So the combination of muzzle velocity, reloads, penetration value, and post penetration damage effect makes this a killer gun, but not a lol pen gun. And again, you're hampered by the turret traverse. Then there is also the mobility. This is 14.3. So this is a 650 horsepower engine that has to carry a 45.3 ton tank. That is a heavy girl. The Panther A has 50 horsepower more, giving it 15.5. So the Panther A is faster, or better in acceleration and going uphill. It has a better turret traverse, and it has APCR. So the little bit of difference in mobility and the APCR are not really that relevant, but it's the turret traverse, and you will see a scene here and there where this will be relevant. And this tank is good at long range. It's one of the best long range tanks, but then its armor really shows itself. I wouldn't go as far to say as you're immune to the Soviet 85mm, but they have to really hunt down the pixels. And this is then where the tank really shines. But you rarely get in those situations, and this is what I love. I love big, wide open maps because, working with ridge lines, seeking for cover in the terrain, planning your attacks, looking forward. Maybe this is asking too much from new players. Maybe this is asking too much from people that are really, really hardcore grinding, because it takes a while till you get to the kills, to the caps, and so forth. And I can understand this. But I think that, if you look at how the tank is designed, how the tank was intended to be used, and how it was not really a close quarters knife fighting tool, right? So, big maps it is. You still that was a bad shot. You still have to try to make it work in those situations. You really have to train the gun. I was actually surprised how long it took me to get used to the gun. And here we also have the PT-76, and that tank is just, with its heat FS, that's more like a lol pen gun. So I tried to go after him, and that was the 4 degrees per second gun elevation, the heavy chassis, a pop smoke. I know I should be dead right now, but I have hope. Behind me there is a heavy tank. So I drop artillery strike, or I dropped it much earlier. I tried to play a ring around the Rosie, and my fuel tank actually didn't get set on fire, which was really lucky. And I also don't have a heavy machine gun. If I would be a US tank, a Sherman, this guy would be dead. Now he has taken my gunner, but he is kind of panicking, and I have to keep up the momentum. Okay, now I decide to repair. Do I have 31 seconds of repair time? I guess not. And look at this turret traverse. He thinks he's safe. Maybe he doesn't know that he has taken my gun breach. I mark the map again, and he donks his shot. If he would have taken his time, then that would be it. And this is pure luck. Look at the turret traverse. I should be dead right now, and it costs me a crew member. It could have been over right there in this scene. But wouldn't you believe it? He panics, I take his loader, and then I get air support. What the hell? Have I just won lottery? I got air support by a BF-109F, probably an F2 with the 15mm, and it's hardcore AP rounds. It's exhausting to play this tank. That's what I want to say. It's a good tank. It's a fantastic tank if you put it into the right situations, and I've been experiencing some great battles, long-range engagements here and there, but they are rare, and that's really a shame. So a lot of people think very often, and I get this criticism very often also in the comment section, that I'm nagging here and that I'm complaining, that I'm always looking at the bad side of things. I'm just sharing with you my experience. And there are other people that hype tanks like crazy, and they played like 100 battles, got one good battle, and then look, this is what I can do. Yeah, but this is a realistic expectation for you guys. This tank needs an awful amount of planning. It needs an awful amount of positioning, and in close quarter city fights, its greatest enemy is the cap, because till you can react to somebody that is, somewhere coming from that corner, and then you take him out, and then somebody's coming from the other side. This tank is not suited for this. It's more like a heavy tank. And I think a lot of heavy tanks, even at this battle rating, can handle that better. So here I'm just looking around. I'm observing always the mini-map. I look where my teammates get taken out, where a fight is going on. And those are the shots that I'm looking for. Those are the shots. Long range positioning. Now, you can see we have now all the objectives. And now, there is this one trick that you have to do. You have fulfilled now the objective. Look around. Catch the enemy's advance, Get into a good ambush position. Don't overextend. The fight is not yet won. It just takes a handful of enemy tanks to turn around the tables, okay? And so I'm just looking around the corner. Is somebody coming from the western spawn of their southern side? Okay, and look at this at the minimap. A plane just has marked a tank, and an M41 has taken out the Tiger that was between me and A. So my spider senses are tingling. Is this an enemy advance? There is nobody of my team to protect A, because somebody could appear from the D2 line and be immune to shots because there are the rocks. So map knowledge, situational awareness, tactical thinking, this is what supports your gameplay. But to always look at the specific trademarks of a tank is another one. And I think that this is one of the hardest tanks to fight. And it was even more brutal when this tank was at 5.7. The tank was okay at 5.7 by itself, I think, when it comes to the firepower, the mobility, and to a certain degree the armor. The problem was that it was always up tiered. Whenever, and please let me know in the comment section down below what you think, what your experience is. Whenever I wanted to enjoy German tanks, just to have a good time, relax and chill, I wanted to play a few German tanks, a few Soviet tanks, and the experience was the same with the Chinese tanks and the German tanks at 5.7 over the last few patches. I got nothing but up tiers. Up tiers here, up tiers there, up tiers everywhere. And that was even more so brutal since when you encountered the British with their stabilizer and their ultra low pen APDS rounds, see, that's the reward of thinking, of repositioning, of reading the minimap. Easy kill. And you know what's even better? He has just decapped A, so I have enough time to go into A and claim the cap myself again. So you really have to understand how a map works, how a map plays out. And I think that a lot of those German tanks, when it comes to them taking the shots in mid to long range engagements, what is in excess of 600-700 meters, the armor becomes even more tougher. Weak spots become increasingly more difficult to hit, and your guns, they can just be a bit better than the average Soviet gun or the average American gun. I'm talking here about the 85 and the 76mm guns. If I'm theorizing here a bit too hard, let me know in the comment section, but this is my way of just, doing post commentary, just letting my thoughts run here and there to give people a good impression about what happened in that match and what is to be expected from the tank in general. And there is one thing that I totally understand. German tanks have a certain reputation, but the expectation very often doesn't transfer into the gameplay, and also the enemies get stronger. There is always this myth about balance. Balance doesn't occur. Okay, do you see this? An M18 just set the Bf-109 on fire. I saw this happening, so I'm thinking to myself, where could the Hellcat be? He must be there in the vicinity. Maybe it's the same player that was in the Walker Bulldog. A Hellcat is the bane of tanks, and I thought that he would reverse, and that was also a bit too high. I have a surprising amount of difficulty getting used to this gun when I played something like a Soviet 85mm gun. 6th kill, beautiful. Protected the cap, and now I can go back to B. And the Soviets love to rush B. My spider senses are tingling. C is captured by the enemy, and there is no real superiority from the German team. We have the advantage at the moment, but again, this can change quite quickly. Another thing is, if I go this route, then maybe people don't expect me to come here, and they're looking, towards C when they come to hear this kind of bottleneck of the ridgelines, if you will. So here I'm just looking at the usual spots, and then I'm just using here the stones, and would you believe this? There is an enemy, and he's a prime target, and good beautiful shot here, and we take out the IS-1. No rush B for you, comrade. So this is just the spider sense that you cannot really explain situation for situation. But I hope that I have to really that I really gave you now the idea. Use the minimap. What does the enemy look at? What does the enemy want to go for? Where are gaps in your lines? Where are your lines the strongest, so you don't really need to see the support? That is the trick. And you know what? That has been actually the match. Now, it was quote unquote only 3 caps and 7 kills. But you know, I survived it. And if it would be enough time, we could actually take C, but it's not enough time there. I think this map is one of my favorite maps overall in War Thunder, especially if you have tanks with guns with good mass velocity. I understand that people that run around with derp guns prefer city fights and just be around the corner and just nuke people to death. I understand this, but such old cats, such iconic tanks, they need their own playground, and a lot of people don't see this and always go then for the close quarters knife fight. Anyway, that has been a fantastic battle. Let's have a quick look at the post-battle results. So, as I said, 7 kills and 3 caps, 1 kill assist, and that results in 84,000 civilians and 8,000 modification research points with the Heavy Metal Hero and the Survivor Award. Those are the battles that I love to play. But they are exhausting. But they're also, though, so much rewarding. That's it for me today, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this battle gameplay. Give it a like, give it a subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.